Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a full project. We're going to do SharePoint, document templates, Power Apps, Power Automate, not all in this one video, but let me show you what I have in mind. All right, so the project I put together, you can see it right over here, right? So you can see all the tasks that I have. So we're gonna try and do this with no premium licenses. I don't wanna try and use premium licenses. We're gonna try and make a simple project. There's gonna be no repeating sections. There's gonna be no extra images that we put into our templates. If we wanna do all that stuff, we have to think outside the box. We have to do HTML, we have to pay for premium licenses. We don't wanna do that. If you want images, you build that into your template. All right, so I'm just using these out-of-the-box templates that Microsoft gives us. I have two of them. I have the formal award certificate template and the memo design template. So those are the two templates I'm going to use. Here's the memo template. I'm going to use this one, and then the other one is the certificate template. So we're just going to keep it simple. Maybe we'll add our own images in here, but they're going to be built into the templates. So we'll just replace recipient name, maybe program project. We'll replace some of the metadata in these templates, and then we'll fill that in. Okay, so I just added a couple pictures to my templates just to say, okay, we changed them. I generated these images in AI, so we now have a certificate of achievement as a person, and then the memo, we have a cake. All right, so already, step one, we are done. We have created all of that, so we'll just strike through. So I had a user come to me and they were like, hey, can you not skip so many steps? I skipped through it really, really fast. So I'm gonna try and go through everything a lot slower this time. We're gonna create a SharePoint site. In order to do that, I'm just gonna click on the SharePoint title here. Now in your company, it may look a little different. You may have different branding, but for this out-of-the-box SharePoint Office 365 tenant, that's where it is for me. And I'm gonna create a site. And I have a few different options. Communication site is not something what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to do a team site, and I'm just gonna do standard template. Now, Microsoft does provide us with all these neat templates if we wanted to, but I'm just gonna do a standard template. And I'm gonna use that template, and the site name, we'll call it Microsoft Word Templates. Next, private. It is going to be a private site. I don't want it open to everyone. I'm just going to keep it private. For me, that's default. It's always a private site. And we'll create that site. I'm not going to add any members. I don't want to change the permissions right now. So we're just going to go ahead and let the site provision and create itself. All right, we're going to finish, and now we're on that SharePoint site. This is right out of the box. This is our SharePoint site. Now, as we create this SharePoint site, there's a few things we need to think about. We need to at least be an owner of the site. So if we come up here, we can check here, we can see the members. I am an owner. You need to at least be an owner of the site. Maybe you could be a member and edit, but I'm going to say you should be an owner if you're going to do this. Now, on top of that, in settings, site permissions, advanced site permissions, I would even recommend that you should be a site collection admin of the site. Now, maybe your company doesn't allow you to be a site collection admin. We can talk about that later. But if you come up right here, site collection admin, I am a site collection admin of this site collection. The site collection is called Microsoft Word Templates. So I'm not of all the sites, but just of this site. I am the collection of these sites. I am the owner. So I'm going to go back to home. Once we have that permission, we can move forward and make a content type. If let's say let's say your SharePoint admin will not give you site collection admin site, you can ask them, he or she, to create a site content type for you. They can either create it in your site or they can create it in SharePoint Admin Center. So for me, we're just going to create it in our site. So I'm going to go to Gear Icons, Site Information, View All Site Settings, and you can see these extra fields right here. We have Site Columns and Site Content Types. For Site Columns, I'm going to create some columns that we're going to use in our template. So I'm going to click Create, and I'm going to try and do side by side. I'm going to have the template and SharePoint up at the same time. I have my template here, and then over here we have SharePoint. We're going to create some site columns. And I'm going to do company name first. So company name. I'm going to add no spaces in there. It's a single line text, and we want to make sure we create a new group. And we'll just call that our templates. So we're going to create a new group. It'll help us later on to find our columns. Okay, and then the next one we'll do to username. Username, single line text. I'm not doing a people picker. The existing group is our templates. We'll click OK. From this will be manager name, single line text, and our templates. We'll click OK. Date once again. I'm going to do single line text here. All this like customization of date people picker, we're going to do that on one of our last steps in Power Apps. Date, I'm going to do single line text once again. Our templates. Click OK. Message, single line text, our templates, click OK. Comments, etc. You can see how we do that. Oh, comments is an out of the box field. So let's write manager comments. So we'll call this one manager comments. All right, so now let's go to our other template. All right, we have our second template. Now we're going to do recipient name. That is, so if we go down to our group here, that is username. So we have that. Project name. So let's create a field called project name. Project name, okay. Date, we have the date signed by. I'm just going to say that's manager name, okay? So we have all of our fields. We didn't duplicate the fields, right? So both templates will use different columns, but we didn't duplicate. Okay, we created our site columns. Now let's go back up here and we go to site settings. So you can just click on the title here. Site settings, site content types. All right, so you can see that Microsoft is actually telling us, hey, site content types has changed. We'll get into that. But right now we're going to create our site content types. And the first one is, we'll do certificate first this time. Certificate. We're going to choose document content type. Let me make this full screen. There you go. We're going to use document content types. The parent category is document. And the content type is document. And that's just what we'll say for now, okay? And now we add our columns. So add site columns, add from existing. And this is where the category was important, our templates. So now we have our columns in here. Let's pull back up the document. So we have our document. We're going to do username, project name, right? So project name, date, and signed by our manager name. Okay, and then we're going to update. That looks good. All right, now back to the content type gallery. We're going to create a new content type. This is going to be for our other template, the memo. So we'll just call this memo. We're going to do, once again, document content type, document content, and document. And click create. Now add site columns. From existing site columns, we want company name. So we'll go to our template, company name, username, from our manager name, date, message, and manager comments. Okay, and project name does not show up here. And we'll click save. Okay, so now let's go back to our site. Back to our SharePoint site. So I'm going to create in site contents, I'm going to create a new library, a new document library. And this is where our templates are going to be. It's going to be from a blank library. And we'll just call it, this is memos and certs. Memos and certs. And notice I didn't add any spaces in there. There's no spaces in my name. Now this is just many years of SharePoint. And I'll show you why you do this. Why do people not add spaces yet? So I'm going to create it. And then I'm going to create another one. Now I'm going to add spaces in it. New document library, blank library, memo and certs. This time I'm going to put spaces in there. And this is the reason I don't. Now take a look at the URLs here. I'm going to try and zoom in, but maybe I'll put it in a notepad real quick so we can look at it. Now take a look at these two URLs. This one is the first one I created without the spaces. The second one has the spaces. And so in the URL, it puts in these %20s. That drives me crazy. This may show up other places when you're trying to do something with this library. You may need to use the exact library name, and the %20s may cause you problems in the future. So in order to keep it very simple, I don't add spaces to the library. Once I have the library created, you see, and I have no spaces, you can just come into the gear icon, library settings, and then add your spaces after the site is provisioned. Now those spaces are there, it's matching, but my URL, the underlying data of my URL is not changing. That's huge. You may think it's not a big deal, but as a SharePoint developer, it will become a big deal later on. And it could become a big deal later on when people do extra work on your site. So I'm just going to delete this one here with the %20s. Library settings, more library settings, and I'm going to delete this document library. All right, so now we only have one. You can see the spaces are here, but the spaces are not in the URL. That's what we want. Now this is where Microsoft changed a few things. That's why I'm remaking this video. And memo and certs back in our document library. Let's go to list settings, library settings, and advanced. And it says allow management of content types, but I'm just going to turn that on and click OK. And I'm going to click on the title to go back to our library. Now here in add column, I'm going to add a content type. This is new. This is brand new. I'm not sure when Microsoft provisioned this, but it's new. We could probably check it out so we can see what's changed. Microsoft made a few changes. In September 2021, we changed it. How they used to do it. Now you can see that you turn on allow management of content types. We did that. Then add column, and then down here they have a content type. So it looks like they changed it to add content type, and then they add them to the library. So let's go back to the library. So we're back to our library. We can see we have add content type. Let's add the ones we want. We have two different ones. Certificate, I probably should have capitalized memo also. We're going to apply and add both of those. Okay, so you can see it's spinning. We added those correctly. Now when we click new, you can see we have three different content types, right? Certificate, memo, document. I'm going to go up here to the gear icon, library settings, more library settings. And I'm going to remove document content type. So document, I am going to delete this content type. All right, so we have two content types now. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to advanced settings. In advanced settings, it says add a template. So I'm going to upload a new document template. So this is certificate, I believe. We're going to choose certificate. No, it's not read only. We'll click OK. Now I'm going to do it for my other one. So settings, memo, advanced settings, upload, choose file, memo, add, OK. All right, so we have our two templates in there. So I'm going to go back to memos and certs. Now I'm going to create a new certificate. And you noticed that it opened up in the browser. I actually don't want that. I'm actually going to come here to the gear icon, open in the app. And I'm going to close these other ones that I have open. Okay, so we've opened up the document in the app. And if you come to File and you go to Info, and then right here, Show All Properties, so you can see that we actually have our document properties attached to the document. So we have date, manager name, username, project name. Those are the fields that we added to it in SharePoint. So let's come back to our template. So recipient name, we're going to go to Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, and this is going to be user name. Okay, I'm going to highlight this part. Project name, Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, Project name. Okay, month, so this is going to be our date. Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, date. This is going to be our manager name. Insert, Quick Parts, Document Properties, manager name. Then I'm going to save this. Okay, but I'm also going to save this to my desktop. I'm going to do a save as and save this to my desktop. All right, now we're going to do a new memo, but I'm not going to do it in browser. I'm going to reopen it in the app. Now, once again, in this document, if you go to File, Info, you'll see right here in Show All Properties, you'll see those extra columns that we added. We have manager name, username, manager comments, company name, message. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did last time. So Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, Date. Message, same thing. Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, Message. Comments, Insert, Quick Parts, Document Property, Comments. All right, so now that I saved that to my desktop, now I'm going to go back to the gear icon, Library Settings, More Library Settings, and then I'm going to go to the Certificate, the Advanced Settings, and now I'm going to upload, choose File from the Certificate Updated. Click OK. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the memo one. Settings, Library Settings, More Library Settings, Memo, Advanced Settings, Upload, the memo updated. All right, so now let's check it out. Let's go to our memos and inserts. I'm back in my document library. I'm going to add those columns. So I'm just going to come down here, show hide columns. I'm going to add all the ones that we added. So there's username, project name, date, manager name, company name, message, manager comments. I believe that's everything. So those are the fields that we're going to add. And maybe I'll add content type in there too. And we'll click apply. All right, so now we have two documents. I'm going to delete these two because these two are not what we're using anymore. I'm going to delete these. Okay, so there's one setback to this, is that this is not going to work in browser as we want it to. So I'm going to go to the gear icon, Library Settings, More Library Settings, Advanced, and this is very important. We want it to only open in the client application. We only want it to open in Word. So I'm going to click OK and go back to Memos and Inserts. Now we're opening up in the client application. Let's do New Certificate. So it's going to open up in Word. That's what we want. And let's start filling out some of the information here. You notice the properties opened up on the right side. They're not there yet. It's still loading. But so we have title. That's the title of our document. But right now, username, I'm going to fill it in as Andrew Hess. The project name is Template Project. The date, I'm not sure what today is. We'll just say it's 2/10/2024. Manager name is Superman. And we still need a title of our document. So we'll say Hess Cert. So I put that right up here in the properties. And then I'm just going to save. But for right now, it's not going to know where to save. So if I just do save, it doesn't know where to save, but we want to make sure it's in that memos and templates of SharePoint. We're just going to save it right there, right back into that SharePoint library. So now if we close down the Word document and we let it save and we take a look at our SharePoint library, so I'm going to refresh, you'll notice that we have that certificate document. And look at that. Those fields pulled through into SharePoint. Now we're not seeing company name, message, and manager because that's not part of that content type. Okay, so now let's do the memo. So now we'll do a new memo. It's going to open up in the client application. Let's fill in, you'll see the property comments showing up on the right side. So company name, SharePoint questions, that used to be my company name. 2, it's me, Andrew Hess. Now we don't have to fill it out right here, right? We don't have to fill it out on the inside the, we can actually fill it out here on the right side also. So manager name is Superman. The date, 2/15, and maybe we're not there, 2/10/2024. Message, congrats. Manager comments, you completed the project. Thank you. So you can actually fill it out on the right side also, and we need a title right now to our document. So Andrew Hess memo. Okay, and then for now, we're just going to save, and we're going to make sure it goes to that SharePoint library. So you just got to make sure you save on top of that SharePoint library. We'll work on that later. Just make sure to save that to the SharePoint library. All right, so you can see we now have 2 documents in here. We have a memo and a certificate, and I keep forgetting to capitalize memo, but you can see now we have those fields filled into SharePoint. So this is where I'm going to leave off for today. So let's take a look at our PowerPoint again. We've actually finished step 3 here. We completed and made our content types. We can strike through that. We provisioned the SharePoint library. And then finally what we did is we attached the metadata to the templates. So that's when we attach the document properties to the templates. So now if we make a change in SharePoint, let's say we edit in grid view and actually the manager was actually Spider-Man, you actually will see that change in the document. I made the change in SharePoint. If we open up the document, you'll see that it actually updated in the Word document. These 2 items are now synced. The SharePoint library document properties with the actual document properties of the Word document. If you come in here to File, Info, you can actually see the properties here and all the document properties in here. If I change this to congrats, you did it. And then I come back in here and I save, and now it's on autosave. Come back here and save, and we go back to SharePoint. Remember it says congrats? I'm going to press F5 to refresh. Come over here. Now it says congrats, you did it. The document and the SharePoint list are now synced together. So next time, next Monday, we're going to use Power Apps, and we're going to come up here to the integrate, and we're going to integrate a Power App form on the right side. It's going to be really neat. So we got through a bunch of steps. Let's work on Power Apps next week. That'll be Monday, 9 a.m. next week. And then after that, I believe we'll do Power Automate in the modern version for the next week. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe. My name is Andrew Hess. I'll see you next time.